had Lahai-Roi out for a bit now, and I feel like I can form some early impressions. So let's talk about it. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. Okay, so I should note that I haven't been able to absolutely no-life it or anything like that because it was Christmas recently, so I'd say I've only played for a couple of hours. I've been able to do the main story and get enough exploration done to form some early opinions, and I've also played the character quite a bit. That's the main thing that I've been doing in 3.0, is playing Lynae, which is a very good thing, let me add. I really like her gameplay. I think she's fantastic, but we'll get on to that. So, in terms of how much time I've actually spent with Lahai-Roi, not much, simply because it was Christmas. So I have not finished Lahai-Roi's content, let me make that clear. I will likely make a follow-up video once I have finished everything there is to do in 3.0 and give more fleshed out opinions then. But for now, consider these early impressions based on a couple of hours of gameplay spread across 2 days. I was able to do the story, play the character a lot, that was the majority of the time that I spent, and I was able to do some exploration. So I'm gonna start off with the character. I've already made videos discussing her meta value, but I want to more so focus now on how fun she is, and her actual gameplay feel as opposed to her meta value. I've already made plenty of videos on her meta value, and I will likely be making more, so right now I'm just focusing on the gameplay feel. She is so fun. She feels dynamic, I really like her varied inputs, and for a second slot teammate, they really cooked. I think her gameplay is really good. I don't know what it is with me and second slots, I absolutely love Choyoen's gameplay as well, but they really cooked with Lynae. I think the fact that she's so aerial and bouncy really does a lot for me. I think her animations are awesome, her voice is full of personality, I play in JP by the way, and I think she is really cool in that aspect. I think her rotation is super smooth to execute, I really like it, and I also think that Kuro was just really creative this time around. They did something unique with the Forte bar here, and I think the way you enter her bounce mode is really interesting, and I think the actual act of jumping around to build up the stacks to do the heavy attack is really cool. I think it's fantastic. And another thing I really like for overworld purposes is that you can just do some attacks in the overworld or some charge attacks, do the heavy attack, and then you can skate around wherever you want without a cooldown. It is absolutely brilliant. Her animations look really good while still being very fast and snappy. I really like her ult animation, and all around she just feels absolutely fantastic to play. I knew she was going to be fun just based on the footage that Kuro had shown off before Lahai-Roi came out, but goodness, I was not expecting her to be this fun. And the best part is that because she's able to play in so many different teams, if you get bored of one team, you just swap out the DPS and you can play another. I've really enjoyed how she's made DPS Yuno a viable option on my account, because that was previously something I wasn't able to play with the characters that I owned, and that has been really fun for me. She's also quite nice in the overworld, and I like playing her in my main team with Choyoen. All around, I think her gameplay is fantastic. I think it is amazing that she is so aerial, and I am really excited to try Mornier whenever she comes out now. They did an amazing job with her. She is really cool. I think the fact that she spends most of her rotation in the air is just fantastic. Genuinely, so well executed. And the fact that she's really fun to explore with too because of the roller skates thing that I mentioned earlier, even better. They did not have to go this hard with a second slot teammate, but they did. They did. And you know what? I appreciate that they did, because I personally am really happy about it. I think she feels fan-freaking-tastic to play. Super nice. And her inputs are so unique too. We just don't have any other character that has jumping as their main mechanic. So I would say that really helps out. She's very dynamic, she basically doesn't use any basic attacks too, which is interesting, at least if you're following her main rotation, and all around, I think she is really fun. Great in Overworld, great in TOA, great in wuwa. I find that this character is just an absolute blast to play if we're looking at it purely from a gameplay perspective. I have loved every second of me spamming this character in TOA and trying her out with my different teams. Really good job from Kuro Games here, and I hope that the future Lahai-Roi units are just as fun to play as her. And then the map and enemy design. Okay, I don't really know how to say it, but it feels so Wuthering Waves in the best way possible. It just feels so authentically wuwa. I don't really know how to explain it. I think it's the fact that there's a lot of robotic creatures and the really cool boss theme for Hyvatia and how unique the surrounding area looks and just the general concept of the place and how the ceiling is this blocked off sky because it's actually underground. There's just so much interesting stuff around the place. I really like the area design. There's a ton of unique plants, and obviously the motorcycle is an absolute highlight. Another thing is that I'm a really big Persona fan, so I think that randomly adding Persona stickers to put on your motorcycle is really funny. I'm really surprised that they didn't get Makoto Nijima as a sticker, because anyone who's played Persona 5 would know that she has a motorcycle, but I assume they more so just went for the mascots of those games, which makes more sense. Fair enough. And personally, Makoto Yuki and Aegis are two of my favorite Persona characters in general, so I'm very happy to see those two as stickers. So I'm really happy about that. It was super random, but I will 100% take it. And I love that I can listen to Color Your Night just anywhere I want on a motorcycle. That is really, really funny. I do still have to actually unlock the full Persona collab things, though. In the footage I recorded, I didn't have it yet, but by this point, I did manage to get it. I'm currently using the Makoto Yuki sticker. I also think the removal of Flight, okay. Personally, I think it was for the better. I really, really loved Flight, and it was really cool to do it at first, and I still think it's a really cool idea. And I will say it did take a while for me to drop the muscle memory of using Flight to get to tall structures. However, once you get used to it, I feel like that with Flight, you get a really fun experience, but it's a different kind of experience. With Lahai-Roi, I feel like you can really notice how big structures are when you actually have to scale up them and you can't fly over them. For example, Septimont is extremely grand in scale, but I never really felt that because I was just flying over it most of the time. The large structures never posed any challenge. Whereas in Lahai-Roi, when there's a large structure, you actually have to maneuver up it yourself. I've also noticed how there's some really interesting Minecraft-like square areas. There's some places that are quite blocky, and I find that interesting. And because I'm not whizzing past everywhere, I do notice the actual landscape more and how interesting it looks and the cool plants around the place. Another thing I like is that, okay, this is gonna suck for people that want true 100%, but I personally like it. I enjoy that there's plenty of unmarked chests and such on the map, and Renacida did have some of those. There are a couple of chests there that aren't marked by the treasure spots, that is true. However, I feel like there's been quite a few in Lahai-Roi, and I feel like that really incentivizes using the motorcycle to drive around, as opposed to just teleporting from place to place once you've got all the teleport waypoints. Yes, you can just go and fulfill all the tasks around the map, but you can still very much get more astrides if you simply go and explore yourself. I think that's good. The music is really, really nice too. I really like the Hivatia boss theme, and all around I just think the entire place is really nice looking. The motorcycle was a great addition. I think the Owl Watch scanner was a really cool idea. And all around, I just think the exploration is quite a banger. I've been really enjoying it so far. I want to finish the 3.0 map before I decide if I like it more than Renacida though. Because like I said, flying wasn't worse, it was just a different experience. And I really enjoyed my time in Renacida exploration. However, the motorcycle offers a different kind of experience, and things just feel larger in scale now, and you have to appreciate the environment a bit more because you're not just able to fly everywhere. You're not able to trivialize everything as easily, so to speak. And I don't think that's a bad thing. There is value to both styles, I just need to play more before I can comment more on this. But for now, I love the motorcycle, I love that you actually have to feel how large these objects are by climbing up them if you're trying to get over a wall or get on top of a mountain or something like that. And I think the actual area design is absolutely beautiful. I also really like the little eyeball creature guys, they're very funny looking. Then the story. Okay, so my review of the story, in short, I thought it was good, but it's not anything that's going to blow your mind. I think if you're a really big fan of the current Wuthering Waves story structure, you're gonna think it's fantastic. But for me, personally, I thought it was decent. I wasn't completely blown away by the end. I just thought it was good, and I had a fun time with it. The cutscenes and the presentation were very much fantastic. There was an upscale in presentation somehow in this game that already has amazing presentation, so there's that. I thought that was really good, and the cinematic experience of this quest is excellent. No doubt about that. Lynae's own character writing was very good. I liked that. And the setup was not bad. My only qualm now is, can they bring old characters back in the story in the future when they're relevant, and can they continue to develop them in the future? I really hope that going forward we can see a good overarching story here. Lynae did mention, spoilers in 3, 2, 1, okay, she did mention that we're gonna be in the same class at the end, so I do feel like we're gonna see her again, and that pleases me. I'm not looking for a lot here, I just hope that older characters don't disappear once they have had their main story arc happen. I think the actual story for Lynae was very good, I thought it was very realistic, And I quite liked her reasons for playing in Lahai-Roi, and once again, kind of spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Okay. I also like that she is somewhat of a morally grey character, so to speak, and she's not completely a good person if you consider her past. I think that's interesting. They did something cool here. So, the story was good, but it's not going to blow your socks off unless the cinematic quality of the quest is enough to do that for you, and I would say that Lynae as a character is honestly quite good. I like her quite a bit. So, overall, my current feelings, I think it's a great patch. I personally really like what I've played so far. I really don't have many bad things to say. And I'd like to keep playing, and perhaps even finish the exploration at the very least, before I give any conclusive thoughts. Another thing that I'd like to add, actually, is that the story wasn't even that long. I personally think it only took me, like, around 3 hours, maybe a bit less than that, to be honest, 2 hours and a half, something like that. Considering how wuwa splits their story into 2 halves now, when it comes to patches, I don't think that was a bad idea. I think that it was just enough for people who wanted story to get some decent story in, and then you can go and enjoy the rest of the content, and then later on we can look forward to the more nye part. I think that's good. It's also something to look forward to once you've been able to get through the rest of the game's content that they've released recently. So, all around, I think it's been very good so far, and as for story, I did end up skipping Rinasita's story after a certain point because I just kind of lost interest. It wasn't cohesive enough, and old characters didn't return until like the very final arc, which I heard was very good, and that's great. But I want to see a consistent improvement throughout the year in the story before I decide to commit myself to investing in it. I did think the Lynae story was good, but I need to see some genuine improvements in terms of bringing old characters back and perhaps developing them and telling a good overall story. I think if it doesn't end up feeling super disjointed, then this is going to end up being something pretty cool. I actually have a little bit of faith. It looks good. I personally enjoyed the 3.0 story, but whether it's going to continue to be good, that is to be seen. And as for basically everything else, I think they nailed it. The only thing I'm still yet to try is the new endgame mode, which I'm also hoping to make a video on. Hopefully this video was able to tell you my current thoughts on Lahai-Roi. This has been Juice, signing out, and I hope you enjoy your 3.0 experience.